Yeah. Oh.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Common Sense and Live. We're back. Are we better than ever? Or are we just back?
Oh, we're just back.
We're just back. We're back and either the same or mildly less better than before.
I didn't say less better.
All right, the same.
Well, we're not the same because, you're never the same person that you were even just a second ago.
It's true. It's true.
We're always becoming, never being, as Nietzsche pointed out.
Wow,
However,
deep.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're better.
True.
I would hope that I've evolved since last time we were here, but I don't know. I'm also feeling a little weird right now because I ate a lot of onion before we started. So I'm sorry that you're sitting next to me, but it's got a tickle going in my nose.
This is sounding like the TMI episode.
So
It got really deep there. It got really deep, and then it went to onion breath. It was, you get a little bit of everything on this episode.
Go live on Rockfin.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're also live on Rockfin, as you might have just heard.
No, we're not yet.
Well, it's happening. It's happening. It's almost happened. It's so close.
Still not happening.
All right. Maybe it's not happening. No, it is. It's there. I think. Yep.
Oh, it is. Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. Now we're going to start for real. Yes, we got a lot of, well, I was going to say good stories, but no, a lot of important stories. I don't know if they're good news. They're probably not good news, but a lot of important stories. We're happy to chat with you guys. It's good to be back on the live stream. We haven't done one in several weeks, and we're glad to have you guys back. Please take a second to share this, click thumbs up, and as you know, as some of you know, as some of you don't know, when we do these, we collect donations in the super chat, collect donations on Rockfin. All of those donations go to people who are struggling, go into a little solidarity fund to those who are really having trouble making ends meet. Also on Venmo, if you're not watching this live, you can do it on Venmo at Lee Camp. And I will read a thank you from one of those people a little later. And if you are someone who is struggling right now and could use, we're only talking about, we're able to usually get people about $80 a piece for most of them. And that you can email commoncensored@protonmail.com if that is you, if you fit into that category. So thanks everybody for joining. And yeah, let's get down to it. As some of you have already mentioned, Mike Gravel, former Senator Mike Gravel, has passed away at the age of 91, and he was a true maverick. Thanks, you,
Nick.
Thanks, Nick. First donation.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I super missed my parrot characters. Just saying.
Well, they'll be coming later, I think. The parrot characters. He needs some time to clear his head and really write a good parrot character. So, but yes, Mike Gravel. He was loud, in your face, and almost always on point, and did some amazing things for a politician in his career. The thing he is probably still best known for is he was the only senator willing to read the Pentagon Papers in the Senate, get them into the public record, so that nobody could censor them on the same level, because the New York Times and Washington Post had reported on it. Daniel Ellsberg obviously was the one responsible for leaking them. He was later prosecuted under the Espionage Act and luckily did not end up serving time in prison. But the New York Times, thanks Forever Run. The New York Times and Washington Post and others were willing to report on the Pentagon Papers, but obviously they can't print the whole thing because it's a lot. And so Mike Gravel read a lot, or at least the most important parts, into the public record. And apparently Ellsberg had gone to a lot of other senators to try and get them to read it, and Gravel was the only one willing to. So he had the balls and vaginas to fucking read it into the record. And so that was pretty incredible. But to show you how he stood up to some of the other garbage Democrats, I want to play this clip. It's only a minute long. And this is Mike Gravel from, sorry, a little loud.
A little loud. My ear's sensitive. But I mean, you project when you perform.
I do project.
It's fine.
Well, speaking of project, we're going to project a video for you. And this is Mike Gravel, I believe it's 2007, running for president. This is the Democratic presidential.
Thank you, Natalie.
This is the Democratic presidential debate you'll notice that it includes Biden, Hillary, and Obama all on stage with Mike Gravel. And Mike Gravel, he was like the Bernie Sanders before Bernie in terms of the presidential election. I realized Bernie was doing his thing then too, but in that the mainstream media refused to cover Mike Gravel. They refused to give him any attention because they knew that if you give him attention, his numbers just go up. And so they fucking ignored him. And at the debates, he'd get like 1 minute to speak. Yeah. And so it was that kind of garbage. Anyway, here is his 1 minute to speak at the debate. Oh, and they're talking about Iran policy in terms of what to do with Iran.
These people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline...
Hold on. You missed the best part. Or maybe it was we did, but someone did.
These people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates to turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm president of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top tier ones. The top tier ones. They made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just play get out. Just play get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, the soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. You know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain is more soldiers dying in vain. That's what's worse.
There you have it, folks. Mike Gravel. And tell me he wasn't fucking right. Tell me he wasn't nailing it. Thank you, River Run.
Thank you, River Run.
So much for the donation.
Another one as well. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, that video is incredible.
But it's incredible because it's for a lot of reasons, but because it's done in their face and it's done on that stage and it's done in front of millions of people. And you saw that when he said that, Obama and Hillary laughed and smiled. And Joe Biden raised his hand.
I know,
and said,
that's my favorite thing.
Don't
Joe's like, don't forget me.
Don't forget me. I also am a fucking maniac, a fucking sociopath who will bomb innocent people so that we can maintain our empire. Don't forget me. That was Biden. But on top of that, you have Obama and Hillary just chuckling to themselves. Ha ha, we do want to kill innocent people. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, he revealed them for what they were. And, were then and are now. Yeah, great point. And you know, it definitely a lot of people took notice, although it's sad that that it wasn't more, that he didn't even pull bigger numbers. But like I said, the media refused to cover. And actually in that clip, you see that Brian Williams, piece of fucking shit, at NBC then and MSNBC now, he interrupts and he says, I'm going to use some moderator discretion. And that's him virtue signaling, saying, we will not allow this kind of toxic talk. And so he said, oh, please clarify who it is that you're talking about. And, you know, that the moderator doesn't normally jump in quite that aggressively. But as he said, moderator discretion. You know, we in the mainstream media would never say something like this. We would never talk about the fact that this is sociopathic. And Mike Gravel was. So.
Yeah, Mike Gravel was really phenomenal. And if you all don't follow the Gravel Institute on Twitter, they post some amazing things, just like some amazing commentary, some amazing facts. They oftentimes post studies about, you know, everything from capitalism to war to climate chaos. So it's a really great, and I believe that the Gravel Institute is continuing regardless. But I think that they're a great institute to follow. And they too have some wonderful zingers. Like there's just some spot on commentary about the ruling class, and yeah, it's just brilliant. And I saw somebody say that, like, well, he was 91. That's true. So a life certainly well lived in terms of the service of justice and truth. So rest in power. And I think those of you who haven't heard of him, this is a great opportunity to go back and look at more videos. Like I said, check out the Gravel Institute, check out some of the things that he's done in the past. But yeah, definitely somebody to look into for sure if you haven't heard of him.
And yeah, guys, by the way, we will be taking your questions and comments, so feel free to throw in some topics you want to see talked about, that kind of thing. We'll do our best to get to what we can. And like I said, all the donations today and on all of these go to people who are struggling. I'll read a thank you from one of those people a little later. And that's every dollar. None of it. We're basically the middle people that don't take a cut. So it's all going to people who are struggling. And you can email commoncensored@protonmail.com if you want more information on that. But yeah, the Gravel, everybody should follow the Gravel Institute on Twitter, because they're on lock. They're doing great work, and it'd be great to keep his legacy alive with the Gravel Institute. So.
Absolutely. And I think just because you mentioned Brian Williams and, just how horrifically the media treated Mike Gravel, and, people are drawing parallels to Bernie. There are, of course, some parallels there. But I think it's interesting to the Washington Post, which is a pile of shit, had...
But how do you really feel about it?
The Washington Post, which, if folks are unaware, is owned by Jeff Bezos. So, yeah.
And it was not a gym before that either.
No. Well, you wouldn't be influenced to buy something unless you felt it was worth the price tag. Which the Washington Post has a long history of supporting corporate power, of supporting the empire and all of its machinations and manifestations. And one thing, so if folks are unaware, recently, like a month ago or something, Rush Limbaugh died. If you haven't celebrated,
it was a few months ago.
If you haven't celebrated, take this moment to do so.
If you haven't celebrated,
get like some sparklers or something. But so the Washington Post, which is supposedly like a liberal newspaper, right? As if there's a fucking difference. So
thank you, Nick. We'll highlight it in a minute.
So the Washington Post wrote about Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, conservative radio provocateur and cultural phenomenon, dies at 70. Okay. As opposed to Rush Limbaugh.
Thank you, progressive lefty.
Far right-wing nutbag, racist piece of shit finally dies at age 70. That's what they decided to go with instead. About Mike Gravel, who we've just discussed, the Washington Post wrote, Mike Gravel, gadfly senator from Alaska with flair for the theatrical, dies at 91.
And gadfly, for those who don't use terminology from the 1950s, but it's like a fly in the ointment. It's basically like, oh, that annoying little irritating guy who was pestering us. This is a guy who was standing up against war criminals, standing up against our fucking murderous regime, and they call him a gadfly. And it's like, yeah, he was a gadfly, but if that's all you're saying in that fucking title, then that's fucking ridiculous. It should be like campaigner for truth against the war criminals that run our fucking oligarch show, dies at 91. But instead...
Right. And of course, the flair for the theatrical, because telling the truth and pointing out war criminals on a stage is a flair for the theatrical. Okay.
So I want to address some of these donation comments that we...
Thanks, y'all. This is awesome.
We just got. Yes. Thanks, y'all. I'll get to Nick's in a minute. I want to address Progressive Lefty, who I do not like your tone, Progressive Lefty. But he's saying, why didn't I push why didn't I push back against Noam Chomsky on
Oh.
any of the crap he was pushing? So for those of you guys who didn't see, I just had Noam Chomsky on my show Redacted Tonight VIP. You can watch it over at youtube.com/redacted tonight. But as you probably saw, Progressive Lefty, if you watched to the end of it, I did make it clear that I didn't agree with every word Chomsky was saying. But there's a couple other things you have to take into calculation. One is that this guy is 92, close to 93, I think. Doesn't have great hearing. Before we started recording and filming, whenever I would try and ask him something, he'd say, what? And then he'd start talking, and then I'd start talking because there was a delay. There's always going to be a second delay in the fucking video feed. So for me to like interrupt and be like, it was not what I wanted that interview to be. I know that you guys are smart enough to know where you disagree and where you agree with the things Chomsky is saying. I think he's done amazing work over his life. I disagree with him that Biden is a great choice against Trump in the election. So I posed questions about our electoral politics. I brought up that our two parties agree on 80% of the core issues, and then he said that wasn't true now or as true now, which I made clear at the end I disagree with. So, yes, I made it clear that I don't agree with every word Chomsky says. But was I going to make this some sort of gotcha interview for a 92-year-old that was pivotal in waking me up when I was 22 years old and in the books like Manufacturing Consent that were so important? No, that wasn't what I was going for. I wouldn't have enjoyed that. I wouldn't have found that important. It would have been basically just a, ha, look at me, I'm tearing down this icon. But instead, I thought, let's let the man speak, and I'll make it clear that I don't agree with every word, even though I did agree with a lot of it. And I'm going to continue doing what I do. So I didn't think that I was doing anything wrong by letting him speak rather than stomping on every word, which would have been really difficult because he couldn't hear me and there's a time delay, etc. Anyway, you guys can disagree with that. That's my view on it.
I'm not going to.
You're like, I didn't watch it and have no interest.
No. I did watch it, but it's not my interview, so
I'm
it's
just
not
kidding.
mine to,
I'm just kidding around. Do you want to address Nick's comment? By hiding behind it? What are you doing?
I'm fucking around.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just seeing how long I can fuck around before you notice.
I don't know what Noli D is talking about. I think she thinks that producers influenced me, but that's
Okay,
not
but we're not
true.
on that topic.
I
So
know,
if you're talking about something that you're reading somewhere else, then that's not what anybody else is saying. Nick, okay, topic. If we are to build alternative media platforms while still using what's available, what about the same concept for politics? Advocate for paradigm shift, but promote people like Gravel for now. I think that's what a lot of people do, I guess. Are you saying like promote change within electoral politics while fighting for change outside of them? In which case, I think a lot of people do that. That's not my forte, but I thoroughly am in solidarity with a lot of people who do that. Not all of them, because I don't believe in all tactics are equal. But I do believe that that's something that's happening. And I think depending on how we push that, I think it can be very effective and it can certainly move the needle. I think my feeling on that is that, as Emma Goldman said, if voting actually mattered, they'd make it illegal. And that certainly hasn't changed since her time. So I think that electoral politics is not a I don't think it's a very useful realm.
Good use of our time.
Particularly when we don't have a lot of time to fuck around.
Well, and especially on the federal level.
On the federal level, but I mean also, on the local level to a certain extent. I think, one of the things that a lot of localities are working on are defunding the police. And I think, while some people will say, oh, well, we'll we'll do this. We'll have cops wear body cams. And some people are like, okay, well, that's a negotiation and we'll take it. The core issues still remain the same. So the core structure of this oppressive state, of this oppressive system, remain intact. And so I think electoral politics are a way to change the window dressing on that structure. What we really need to be doing is smashing the structure. And no, I don't mean that everybody pick up a Molotov cocktail. I mean that figuratively. And I don't think that we do that within the confines of electoral politics. That being said, I am really good friends and support the efforts of a lot of people who do work somewhat in the realm of electoral politics. But I think, again, it matters on how. Like, if we're just talking about, let's vote for a Democrat because it's harm reduction, get the fuck out of here. But, and yes, I love that quote, by the way. If I can't dance, I don't want your revolution. It's very true.
I want to add one note to what Nick asked about supporting people like Gravel. There aren't many Gravels. You could argue that at one time Bernie Sanders, before he endorsed Hillary, might have been pretty close to that. But there aren't a lot of people elected in the Democratic Party now, because the Democratic Party is so captured by the insanely rich, a rich that neither you or I can even comprehend. That they hardly exist. So to support these people that don't exist, you get my gist.
Hey, that
it rhymed. Yeah, I'm going for the rhyme, Haley.
All right, cool. I like
Keith McHenry, who founded Food Not Bomb, says, "Vote for me. I'm running for my life."
I love that. That's a good one.
Hope you're doing well out there, Keith. I know there's been a lot of police arresting homeless people and blocking them out of areas where they considered home.
I hope everyone. I've seen some people talking about the heat waves, so I hope folks are staying cool as you can. There's been some good posts about how to address the heat wave, not just for yourself but for unhoused folks, how to support them in these situations, and so. Yeah, stay cool, literally.
I'm not criticizing the terminology because this has just occurred to me, but I think soon we got to stop calling them heat waves. It's just life in climate change. I mean, it's getting. There's more and more heat waves.
No, that's true.
Until they're no longer a wave. It's just heat. It's just, hey guys, we're cooking the planet. Maybe we need to completely shift everything, but none of these garbage politicians have any interest in doing that. So, but yeah, part of it is shifting the terminology.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What was I about to say? Oh, I'd love to get more donations because all the donations are going to people who are struggling. I'll go ahead and read that thank you. One of the thank yous that we got. This is from Michelle, who I think you'll see. She was using the funds for some sort of medical, something medical, healthcare related. She said, "Solidarity funds via PayPal received. Thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate it. And it's so wonderful knowing that there are such awesome people like all of you out there organizing within our communities to make a positive difference. I'm so excited to get the second ankle brace now. Now my left ankle need not be so jealous of my right ankle. Ha, 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 ha. Thanks again. Keep punching up and reaching down to help." So she needed ankle braces. She didn't say specifically what for, but obviously she needed those.
So
thanks,
you,
Dan
y'all.
Roth.
Thank you, Dan.
How political will the expansion of military spending get because they need to see UAFs? Yeah, exactly.
What are UAFs?
Well, that's unidentified aerial. Oh, no, it's UAPs. Unidentified aerial phenomenon is what they're calling them, rather than UFOs recently. Will it be unanimous to spend more for safety? So I know I'm going to piss off a lot of you right now, but I 100% believe that this whole we're the Pentagon. We love bombing, killing people around the world. And we're suddenly going to tell you, we're suddenly going to tell you that there's UFOs out there. Now, here's the thing. It's not that I think they're making these up. It's that when you're viewing things through radar or through infrared at hundreds of miles or miles away, going God knows what speed, and these pilots, they love saying, oh, highly trained. Yes, these pilots are highly trained at flying. They're not necessarily highly trained at what the fuck that blurry dot is on the fucking new instrument that I trained on a week ago. And so I think, and here's the thing, if you actually look at the report, they put these into 5 categories. They say there's been like 147 or something unidentified aerial phenomenon over the past many years. They put them into 5 categories, they say. And one of the categories is things that are man-made phenomena that we know of. And they say, oh, one of these we did find out was a deflating balloon in the upper atmosphere or something. Meaning they thought it was an unidentified aerial phenomenon. And then they found out it's a balloon. Thank you, River Run. Well to go. Well, way to go. Way to go. Well, way to go. Well. And so literally they're admitting that of these 147, one they've already identified as a fucking deflating balloon. And how many of the others do you think were also deflating balloons that they just weren't able to get a good look at? And here's another point. The reason all of these are blurry and none of these, you can take that down.
I just like it. I'm sorry.
I know. The reason all of these are blurry and the reason all of them are at a great distance is because when they're not blurry and they're not at a great distance, guess what? We know what they are. That's why all of them are blurry. So look, when fucking aliens show up and go, hey, everybody, all right, fine. But this is not that. This is the military wanting to keep it the idea that everybody should be afraid. Shit's out there. It's going to get us. Maybe it's the Russians, but it's out there. Give us lots of money.
And like Underhill posted, unidentified just means they don't immediately know what it was.
Right.
And I mean, if I threw something at your head and you didn't know what it was, that also is a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object. So, and then when you look at it, you could be like, oh, that was a tomato. I get it. But just because it's unidentified in that moment doesn't mean it's fucking aliens. And thank you so much, Christine.
Thanks, Christine.
And yes, we will talk about Julian in a moment. But
for the next 5 minutes, if you donate, I will yell your name in a funny way.
Oh, right. Why is it always when I'm talking that you have to interrupt?
I'll wait till after she's done talking.
Okay. So that's the first thing. Thank you, Nick. So basically, like, the other thing that's really annoying is that it's really fucking arrogant. I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about how we share 95% of DNA with chimps. But no one would sit down and like try to have a philosophical conversation with a chimp. I mean, maybe you would, but I don't think you'd get very far. Let's say that aliens passed by Earth, and let's just say by some fluke, they share like 20% of our DNA, and that's fucking amazing. But then they pass by and they look down and they're like, oh, well, no intelligent life there. And they just fucking kept going. Like, why stop and like hang out in our airspace just to fuck with us and our radar systems? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so it speaks to the level of arrogance.
Andrew, you're fucking awesome.
It speaks to the level of arrogance that humans have. That, first of all, we think that we're that interesting. Second of all, that we think that just because something's unidentified, it has to be aliens that are so interested in us. I mean, oh my God, we're so cool.
Not just interested in us, but interested in anal probing us. That's
a whole different thing.
They want to get on up there.
but like, it's just. And this is nothing new. Neil deGrasse Tyson also talked about how in the 1700s, people wrote and drew pictures of aliens in ships, like actual ships, because guess what? Fast water ships I'm talking about here were like the most advanced technology that they had then. So of course, you project the most advanced human technology onto the aliens that are coming to Earth. So thank you, Andrew. You already said that, but so now it's aircraft because that's our most advanced form of travel. So we think, well, they must be using these aircraft. And it's just like so fucking arrogant. And final point. I subscribe to a lot of science magazines because I'm a nerd and I like it. And there's so much shit we don't know. We don't know what 95% of the universe is made out of. We don't understand quantum theory. It is a fucking mind fuck. And yet we think that we understand that these unidentified flying objects or UAPs or whatever the fuck are aliens. When we don't understand, when we're still finding out that there are like species with lights in their fucking heads that live at the bottom of the ocean. Like, really? There's so much we don't know about our own environment. And so it just speaks to this extreme level of ignorance and arrogance that we think that it's aliens just because we don't immediately understand it. And that really fucking pisses me off. So I'm not saying it's impossible that there's other life in this universe. I'm just saying it's really fucking annoying that every time somebody sees a bright light, they're like, holy shit, it's ET. Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, I think people are just bored, you know?
Which I totally get.
A lot of people are living like boring lives. Often, a lot of times people are stuck in wage slave jobs that they have no choice but to be in. And so it's a lot more exciting if there's things coming down.
I hear you. Do you think that online subscription model is the future of news media outlets?
So he's talking about like there's several examples of people who or shows that were pretty far left and then forced out.
I'm sorry.
Large out of focus. Oh yeah, Mitch Hedberg.
Thank you for quoting Mitch Hedberg.
Great Mitch Hedberg quote about how Bigfoot's always out of focus. But so there's a few examples. One is like Useful Idiots, that show with my friend Katie Halper on it and Matt Taibbi. And then Nick asked about it's called it's still called Rising, but it's Crystal Balls and Crystal Ball and whatever the other guy's name is. And so the question is, are they going to go even more left? And I don't know about that. I think. So first of all, he's supposed to be kind of middle right libertarian or something. I don't know, but Sagar or however it's pronounced. But she is farther left wing, kind of more of a Bernie Sanders person, and she's done some good. They've done some good work, and they were very popular on the Hill. But I feel like they were still within the allowable bounds, and when they get out of that, now they've been forced out at the Hill. Now I don't know the reasons. I don't know if they've given the reasons. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Steve. But it is increasingly common that when you're at a bigger outlet, so Useful Idiots was at Rolling Stone, they kind of got pushed out. This one's at The Hill, they got pushed out. And so when you are at these outlets, you tend to get pushed out if you go beyond the allowable kind of fucking Overton window. You go past that, you talk about the third rails of politics and things like that. And so it does seem to happen increasingly. And yeah, subscription model is helping some of these get by. But unfortunately, it often is a much smaller audience and they are being suppressed, like I'm incredibly suppressed. So I don't know if it's just something to celebrate. I'm glad that these people have a way to make a living because I want them to keep saying the same things they're saying. However, I don't think it's just like, yay, we have subscription models so that they only have 1,000 fans, but those 1,000 fans pay them so they can make a living. What you'd prefer is, like fucking Joe Rogan's situation where, yeah, they're paying him money and also they're getting him out to fucking 100 million people. But.
Or that, like, I don't know, that we had a free press so that you could actually say what you want.
Wait, whoa, slow down.
On airwaves that weren't owned by 4 fucking corporations. I don't know. That's just a thought.
And where was it? Steve just said there's a Julian Assange rally.
That's 9 p.m. Eastern. So after we're done here, you can hop on over to watch that. Do we want to talk about Assange now?
Yeah, we'll make it quick. I'm going to go into it a little deeper on A Moment of Clarity probably tomorrow. But so I don't want to give all the details because we'd be here like half an hour. But most of you know that Assange is imprisoned for multiple reasons. For initially, it was that he jumped his bail when they were trying to imprison him for for investigation in Sweden. It was never charges. Okay, now that they keep calling it rape charges, but in fact, both women that were involved say they didn't use the term rape. They just wanted him to take an HIV test. So it was not rape. It was them requesting an HIV test. And Sweden even wanted to drop it because they had no evidence of any kind of rape. And they were, through leaked emails, we know they were pressured into keeping the investigation going for 4 years. So that's when he was in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Can I just say fuck Sweden really quick? And I'm saying that as a Swede, like, grow a fucking spine. I will go on so many tirades about this, but not right now. It's embarrassing. Please continue.
Well done.
Natalie, I'm answering your question right here.
So that all falls apart. It completely collapses. There's nothing there. Then they tried to say that Julian Assange pressured or requested Chelsea Manning to break the law, which is also not been proven. Chelsea Manning has never said that. Chelsea Manning has always said that all Assange did was help her get cover her tracks, which is what journalists do all the time. Here's how to call me on a burner phone. That is normal journalistic practice. Mm-hmm. So that all fell apart. And then perhaps the last thing that they were able to say is they had this other witness, this other source that said that he was, and he worked with WikiLeaks, said that he was told and pressured to go hack into various databases and things, which is illegal to do the hacking and then to tell others to do it. However, now even that guy has said that he lied to get the benefit from the FBI, basically to get out of whatever charges they had on him. So he was an FBI informant working with them. Thank you. Toshiar. And so just now it came out that even he was lying. So everything against Assange has collapsed. Mm-hmm. Everything that they could possibly pretend to have on him has collapsed, and yet they keep him in prison.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fucking disgusting. If you're in the DC area, there's going to be an action happening outside the DOJ, the Department of Justice. That's a total misnomer. On July 2nd.
Wait, does the Department of Justice exist?
Oh wow, yes. Kalle, håller med, absolut. So what Kalle is saying is that the last time that Sweden actually had, well, I'm going to paraphrase here, an independent, well, now I'm not paraphrasing, but independent foreign policy was under Olof Palme, which, if you're not familiar with Olof Palme, he was fucking awesome. I believe he was the first, if not one of the first heads of state that met with the new Cuban government after it was formed, after the revolution. He was a fucking phenomenal human being and was murdered. And there are lots of thoughts. The case is actually still open in Sweden. There are lots of thoughts as to who killed him. Some suggest that it was the United States because they really didn't like that he was that far left and really believed in the tenets of socialism and not just like a sort of capitalist regime that had like a socialist sheen, which is really what Sweden has become. And actually, Sweden is really now far more neoliberal than I would say socialist at all. Just look at how we've handled COVID. And I saw somebody comment that Sweden's done a better job. You're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. There's no nice way to say that. Tens of thousands of people have died, and I'm not going to accept that bullshit on this stream. So if I see that shit again, you're out of here. Because it's horrifying and it's disgusting. So yeah, you can. I just like seeing Swedish. But you can.
And yeah, thank you for the donation. I'm not going to highlight it because it's in all caps, which is obnoxious. But all right. So speaking of Assange and whistleblowers, I think we can go on to Daniel Hale.
Yes. So Daniel Hale, for those who are not familiar, is a whistleblower. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but thank you.
Well, thank you. I took all the credit for that one.
He's actually talking about the cat. So Daniel Hale is a whistleblower, and he was. I don't remember if he was a drone operator or if he just had access to that information, but he released a lot of information about
about our targeted killing program,
right?
and
About
using
the
drones.
absolutely horrific drone bombings that that the U.S. Does against
and
innocent civilians worldwide.
And the Intercept published several articles with Jeremy Scahill about the drone papers, they called them. It revealed a lot. It revealed how it goes up the levels, how Obama approves the killings. But often, and this is what made Daniel Hale reveal it, they were killing people based on, they heard something on a phone and they think it's probably them. Or they saw through an infrared camera that the blurry blotch that was walking seemed to have the same gait, the same style of walk as the guy they wanted to kill. And in these leaked papers, probably the biggest bombshell was that by their own accounting, 90% of the time that a drone killed someone, it was an unintended target. 90%.
Yeah. So for his service in the name of truth and justice, Daniel Hale was prosecuted. And he has a sentencing coming up in later this month, or no, later next month, like July, I believe, right?
It's very soon, yeah. Next few days.
And he's currently being held in the same prison where, wow, the Sand Queen, thank you so much.
Sand Queen, you fucking kick ass.
And Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Where was I? Daniel Hale will be sentencing in a few days.
Or next month at some point. And he is currently being held in the same place where Chelsea Manning was held, in Alexandria, which is Northern Virginia, which is very close to DC. And there's a lot of movement now because of the upcoming court dates. There's a lot of movement on trying to garner some support for Daniel Hale. I spoke to one of the people who is kind of spearheading this campaign, who has a website called Ban Killer Drones? Could you just open it?
I think it's Ban. Did you say Twitter?
No, it's the website.
Oh.
Bankillerdrones.com, I want to say. But yeah, so we'll just Google ban killer drones.
Okay.
Did
the tone?
Well, you don't have to Google.
Tone?
You can DuckDuckGo it. I have DuckDuckGo on there.
Tone.
You can just DuckDuckGo it. You don't have to do Google, because then Google's going to track it that you were there. But
StopKillerRobots.org? Oh, bankillerdrones.org.
See, now Google knows that I went there, because that's my computer.
Oh yeah, Google doesn't know that you're a fucking
I'm just saying,
risk.
Use DuckDuckGo or StartPage. StartPage is the one that Snowden suggests.
Listen, you were already on all the lists, all right?
Okay, but now I'm on the extra list because of this shit. Thank you. So yeah, bankillerdrones.org. And he said that he expects Daniel Hale to be sentenced to at least 5 years. But it's interesting. There's not been a lot of like, what's the word? There's not been a lot of publicity around Daniel Hale versus Chelsea Manning, for instance. And so I think it's really important that we continue to spread the word about this. Lee tweeted some images from the projections that we did last night. I'm editing some of the pictures that we took, or some of the pictures that I took. And there's also going to be a video that we're editing to support.
So these are, if you can see, it's projected. That's the Capitol down there, and it's projected onto the side of what building is that?
Well, we don't need to say what building it is.
All right, the side of a building. But anyway, pardon Daniel Hale, drone whistleblower, and then it gives the website. But these things are great. There's a close up on it. This projection, which I was there, but I'm not the one doing it. It's a great way to get attention to these issues, and it generally will get more people to look and ask questions than like just holding up a sign. And so it really is pretty awesome and powerful. And
well, and the images have staying power because you have that image with the Capitol in the background. We've also done several images with, with the Washington Monument in the background. So you have these images that have, very notable landmarks that, again, have staying power. People can share them over and over and over again. It's not, it's not like news that you can only use that one day. It's very evergreen. So, check out Daniel Hale. If you're not familiar with that story, check out bandkillerdrones.org. I believe it was also Save Daniel Hale, or what was the website? Where's your?
Oh, let me go. It was like Stand With or something.
Oh, yeah. Standwithdanielhale.org.
Standwithdanielhale.org.
So, check that out if you haven't already. And he's going to be sentenced soon. And just another fucking whistleblower who is trying to share information with the American people about how fucking horrific the U.S. empire is. And instead of going after the people that are perpetuating these horrors, the United States goes after the people who are trying to let it be known that these horrors exist.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. And one other side note is Daniel Hale, I believe, is the third whistleblower to go to The Intercept and then ultimately be revealed as a whistleblower. So, and it's tough to say whether it's being done intentionally or through an astonishing amount of ignorance on the part of The Intercept. But
I don't think you can be that ignorant.
I don't think
not three times is purposeful.
There's a full shame on me, shame on you quote on that. But reality winner as well. And whistleblower John Kiriakou says, do not fucking ever leak something to The Intercept. But I do encourage people to leak things to stand up against the powers that be. But
just don't go to The Intercept. They are pretty embarrassing when it comes to dealing with these whistleblowers, for sure. So
if we get $100 more in the next, let's say 5 minutes, then we'll stay an extra 10 minutes. And I'd love to do that. All of these donations go to people who are struggling. If you're not watching this live, you can also donate on Venmo at Lee Camp. And you can donate on the Rockfin. You can donate on YouTube and the Super Chat if you're watching it live. So that would be awesome if we could get $100 more. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And if you have any other questions about things you want us to talk about, please let us know. Again, if you need some support right now, you can email commoncensored@protonmail.com. You can also email us there if you have things that you'd like us to talk about on this show, I guess, but on our podcast, Common Censored. So reach out.
So let us know what other questions or comments you have. Obviously, there was that. The mainstream media seems to almost exclusively be focusing on that building that collapsed in Florida, which is obviously a shame, but you had a good point about climate change.
Well, first of all, people have been talking. There had been people raising the alarm for years about that building, saying that it was unstable. The second thing is, it's fucking like literally that area is sinking because of climate change. So that is literally like the earth is eating that building because of our stupidity. So really, it's just yet another moment where the earth is like, hey, you see what's happening here? It's super fucked up because you guys are super fucked up. And if you don't want this to happen, you really just have to stop being fuckheads. And our response is, oh my God, who knew that this was going to happen? It's like when the levees broke in New Orleans. It's like, oh my God, who knew that was going to happen? Oh, I don't know. Like every fucking engineer and their mother knew that was going to fucking happen. So if you look at, what people have been saying, like engineers and things like that about those buildings, that's that people had already mentioned that that was a problem for years prior to what happened. And I think more than 150 people are still missing. I believe like 5 or so are confirmed dead. It's just
in Florida, yeah.
Right, where that building collapsed. And it's totally fucking unnecessary. It's unnecessary from an infrastructure perspective because there are ways to build in order to, you know, to deal with the literally like the shifting sands of climate change. And then there are ways to, I don't know, deal with climate change and try to mitigate the worst effects of it. But we are doing neither as a country, and Florida is certainly doing neither. Thank you, CMAC.
Thank you, CMAC. So we're $20 of the way there to see if we can get 100 more to go to people who are struggling right now in these insane times where a lot of the evictions are coming up soon, aren't they? Like they put off the evictions in many places, although you've done some great work on how it's not really a moratorium. But several, you know, it's not several, but millions of the evictions have been held off, but that ends soon. And people are really struggling.
Yeah, no, it's...
Thank you, Progressive Lefty.
Thank you, Progressive Lefty.
Oh, yeah, this is another topic. So I covered this, not this update, but I covered this extensively on Redacted tonight about they're called residential schools, which is a crazy euphemism. Oh, okay, this is the thank you I read. Sorry to interrupt. This is the thank you I read today about the getting the brace. And I believe this was Michelle. And so, yeah.
So glad that your ankles are doing better.
That's awesome. Thanks,
thanks. I hope it continues.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Blah.
So Progressive Lefty was bringing up that there is a new update on these residential schools. I covered the, I can't remember the number, 200 and some, 215 or something bodies found at a residential school, which is where they used to kidnap Native American children starting in the 1800s, going through all the way up to 1979. Some of them closed. And apparently just loads of them, like somewhere between 25 and 50% of these kids would never come home. And they haven't found most of the bodies. And so there are these mass graves of these kids, which are just now being, you know, found. Of course, someone knew these kids were dying. And it's just fucking insane.
It's grotesque.
It's grotesque, and it's a cultural genocide. Mm-hmm. And it's been largely covered up. And, you know, the thing I covered on Redacted tonight, one of the points I made is that as late as 2007, I found an NPR article that's talking about the worst place, the Carlisle School, as if it's just this, oh, what a great football club. Oh, look at how many good football players they had back then. And it's like, are you fucking insane? This was a genocide, and you're talking about their football team.
Thank you, Sable. Yeah. So, and I think, you know, people are making the point, you know, in America, Neil is making the point that it's the same in Australia. This is a part of colonization. The colonizers shared these ideas across borders, across the entire globe. And so, yes, we haven't, you know, just because there aren't news stories about what we found in the so-called United States, sure as shit doesn't mean that they're not there. Residential schools were a huge industry, as Lee just pointed out, in the United States, and very recent, right? You know, somebody said not that long ago. There are people alive today that were in residential schools when they were growing up, and so this is not.
Thanks, Bev.
This is not that long ago. This is very recent. So the idea that somehow, again, like, oh, this was the far past and we're so much better now. The United States really cares. And, you know, hashtag Black Lives Matter and hashtag Indigenous rights and whatever the fuck. It's bullshit. It's absolute fucking bullshit. And I think it's really important that we not shy away from news like this and that we really reckon with our past. I think it's very important to do that. And, I also recommend that people read, I can never remember. I'm so bad with names. Indigenous People's History of the United States. Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. Did I just pull that out of the caverns of my mind?
I have no idea.
I may have, but I feel like that's not necessarily wrong.
I can highlight this while you Google if you prefer.
You go ahead.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt talking about the book, but thank you, Skylar. This is a hell of a donation.
Thank you, Skylar.
Awesome. Corporate-funded government will continue to abandon us. We all must help who we can when we can. Keep up the great work. Well,
Do what you can, where you can.
thanks, Skylar. All of those donations will go to people who are struggling right now, probably facing eviction, facing medical debts, facing other kinds of difficulties. Some people use it to, to get their car back in shape so that they can drive to work. It's used for a lot of things that people are desperate to get some money.
Yeah, and Frank B, this is a great point too. These issues are, of course, inextricably linked. Indigenous women are going missing at alarming rates. Yes, and this is very much tied to the dirty energy industry. The proliferation of man camps have basically skyrocketed the rape and kidnapping and disappearance of Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirits across the so-called United States.
I'm a man camp.
Oh my God, I just realized. No, but you're a good man.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
You're a good kind.
Thank you, Underhill, for another donation.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we got 10 minutes left. Please donate if you get second. If you're not watching this live, you can donate on Venmo at Lee Camp, and all of these donations go to those of us who are struggling.
And Stephen, yes, absolutely. I'd be glad to. A man camp is basically it's basically like a trailer park that just basically gets set up when a pipeline is being built, a compressor station, a drill pad, etc. They're tied to the dirty energy industry, and they ship in workers from wherever the fuck, which is, a slight tangent here. Whenever they say this project, and if it's like in Kentucky, it's going to be great for Kentucky. We're gonna get so many Kentuckians jobs. No, you're not. You're going to ship in people from other states because that's how you fucking operate. So they need a place to house these workers, and they house them in what's called man camps. And these man camps are just like collections of, unfortunately, predominantly very bigoted, sexist, racist men who feel that they can, carry on the American tradition of taking whatever they want. And since a lot of these projects, for instance, DAPL is probably like the most large example. A lot of these projects happen close to reservations or, in Indian country, so to speak. And so the people that they have access to, quote unquote, are Indigenous women and girls. And so this causes the extreme rise in trafficking. And that's not to say that, that it's only Indigenous women and girls. There are a lot of women and girls of color that are included in this. But it's predominantly Indigenous women and girls who are affected by these man camps. And also, it should be noted that even if these women and girls don't disappear or are kidnapped or murdered, there is an extreme public health crisis because there's a large spike in things like STDs and STIs that are caused by man camps. So, as Lee pointed out recently, fracking causes gonorrhea.
Yeah, there's a correlation between fracking and gonorrhea because these guys seem to bring it with them. Many of you have been commenting about Biden's airstrikes. I did not know about them, but because of your comments, I have looked them up. Biden just ordered airstrikes against, they claim Iran-backed, but honestly, that's probably just bullshit. But airstrikes against militias in Iraq and Syria. A Defense Department spokesperson said the actions were, quote, necessary to address the threat. Yeah, what threat would that be? What fucking threat is Iraq, a sovereign country, to us right now? It's these quotes, these lines, this propaganda. Everyone should know it's fucking horseshit. Iraq is no threat to you. And so they bomb these things, and it does two purposes. One is for them to blow up whatever the fuck they want. But secondary is as propaganda against Iran. So they're blowing up shit in Iraq and Syria, and meanwhile using it for propaganda against Iran. These were Iran-backed militias. Yeah, well, guess what? We fund, first of all, probably not true, but secondly, we fund fucking Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, which is an Al-Qaeda offshoot in Syria. We fund and arm terrorists, jihadists, who literally execute people in the streets, and they're on our side because they're keeping the war going. So we like that.
War on terror needs terrorists. Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks, Thomas. Any plans to travel to NYC? The only plan is that Graham Elwood is setting up a couple of government secret shows, live shows, and we may do one in New York. That is the hope. Maybe in October. I haven't set up any shows yet, but, you know, hopefully there'll be shows down the road, but nothing yet.
Yes.
So we got about 5 minutes left. Last chance to throw in some donations to people who are struggling, and you can do that on the Super Chat. You can do that on Rockfin, and you can do it on Venmo at Lee Camp. All those donations will go to people who really need help. We will bring you some of the thank yous every Sunday when we do a live stream.
Yes, indeedy.
The only strikes. Oh, I get it. He means
Did you get
labor strikes.
Did you get it?
Biden doesn't support the labor strikes.
Right? Yeah.
It's so true. It's
know.
funny because it's true. It's funny, it's funny because it's true.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. You gotta laugh because there's so much to cry about, as a friend of mine said. Yeah, so anything else before people tune into that Assange event in LA?
Yeah, in a minute you can head on over. I don't know the channel, but so there's a Assange rally starting in a few minutes in Los Angeles. I believe they're going to live stream it.
Yeah.
Just trying to read a comment, yes, and you can follow our stuff. Eleanor's new EP is out. It's available. It's at artkillingapathy.com. You're gonna love it. If anybody here has gotten it and likes it, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. But yeah, the EP is at artkillingapathy.com. It's called No Solo. You can listen to a bit on Spotify, but please, if you like it, go and purchase the EP, because that's the only way any artist ever gets support. Spotify pays nothing, zilch, zero. They're dick faces.
Fucking awful. Okay. Well, thank you. Lonely Zebra needed the ankle braces because I have a genetic connective. Wow. Yeah. I got stuck in the middle of that sentence. Apologies. I have a genetic connective tissue disorder.
That sentence was not connective.
No, it was not. It got totally disconnected in my head. Thank you so much, Lonely Zebra. I hope that the ankle braces are working wonderfully and that you can run, jump, and do all the things that
are fun.
But
yeah, that's what your guys' donations go to, is stuff like that. So it's truly wonderful of all of you. We're just the middle people that don't take a cut. Oh, Nick getting in under the line with the character.
Hey, character that Leon. Wow, that sentence was. Why am I? I'm shutting down.
You're shutting down.
What is it? Like I'm like fucking Cinderella over here. It hits 9 o'clock, and I'm just like.
It's because it's hot in here.
It is hot in here. I don't do well in the heat.
Did you say you don't do well?
Well, I don't Jew well because I don't do well. my Jew can't, fully blossom. Character happy that Lee and Eleanor are back, and it was good to see some of the usual suspects here in the chat as well. Yay! So fucking wonderful. It's been wonderful to hang out with y'all. So cool to be back, and hopefully we'll be back next weekend, because who the fuck celebrates 4th of July?
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe next weekend.
Are you celebrating 4th of July?
No, but some people do, and then we don't have them here. Does anybody know what the link is to the Assange LA rally? Because people are asking. If you do, put it in the comment section, please. I don't have it here. But also in DC, there's a July 1st Assange rally with Assange's father, I believe, will be here.
Thanks, Thomas.
So keep an eye out for that. Thanks, Thomas. Okay, we're going to wrap up. But if you enjoyed this, you would love our podcast. It's called Common Censored. It's free on all your podcast platforms. Also, check out Eleanor's movie at hardroadofhope.com, documentary on fracking. That's incredible. And what else? What am I missing? New Redacted Tonight is over at leecamp.com. And it's on the times that our own military has used bioweapons on the American people. And I'm not kidding. So check that out. leecamp.com.
Yes, all my stuff is at artkillingapathy.com. I don't know if you already said that because I was reading comments and not listening. So, so yeah. Thanks so much, y'all. It was great hanging out with you again. Please give this a like and, share it once it's up and we can get more donations in. And we'll hopefully see y'all soon. Please stay safe in the meantime and stay cool, literally and figuratively.
Keep fighting.
Act out.